The Manchester Food Cupboard has been at the forefront of the effort to help people who stop by their facility at the Manchester Town Hall access food items that might not be available to them any other way. They've been around since 1989, when a group of local residents formed the food cupboard to ward off hunger and make nutritious food available to those who needed it. The food cupboard typically distributes more than 12 tons of food each month to hundreds of local families. When the COVID pandemic first struck in 2020, demand for their services skyrocketed as businesses cut back operations and workers lost jobs. Now, more than 3 years later, the pandemic emergency is largely lifted and the economy has come roaring back. But demand for the food cupboard's services remains high as inflation has cut into the buying power of low to middle income residents. At the same time, most of the state and federal supports that were helping the most vulnerable have been sharply dialed back. Martha Carey, the program director of the Food Cupboard, gave her assessment of where things stood now. She was joined by Kate Koss, a volunteer with the Food Cupboard.
As of our latest tally for our year to date, we're up to 464 families who've accessed the Food Cupboard, and that's typically an amount that we would see in a whole year. Food price and availability has really put a lot of things out of reach for us. We are trying to fill the cupboard as best we can, but we're really kind of patching it together at this point because things are just so expensive. In order to fill that gap, it is very expensive.
Yeah, food prices have gone up over 30%. And so it makes it difficult to purchase some of the staples that people need, that they depend on, week to week.
So what do you think is driving the upsurge in the number of people who are coming to obtain some food from your, is it inflation? Is it more people in the area, or what?
I think it's inflation, both of the cost of food and just the cost of housing in general. Life in general in our area seems to be getting more and more expensive. Wages aren't matching that increase in cost of living. And so many programs that helped people get through the pandemic have ended. Extra food stamp money, the Everyone Eats program, just thing after thing keep ending, and it just keeps making things tougher.
It's really been cumulative, I think, like you said, with all the programs that are ending, and there aren't, donations aren't coming in, and there's a lot of people to feed.
So what do you think should happen then to kind of offset these trends you're seeing? I mean, does the federal government or the state government need to make more money available to acquire some of the groceries, or what would be the solution you could think of that
in
would...
an ideal world?
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be lovely. I don't know that that would be the most readily available solution. I think what I think we need to do is just to again call on our local community to reach out to help each other. Just like during the COVID pandemic, people really stepped up to help their neighbors. And I think we're at another point where people really need to step up to help their neighbors. We have a growing population of people that are new to our country. We have some refugee families who have come here with nothing. We have people working in town at, low-wage jobs. Senior citizens who are on a fixed income while prices keep going up and up and up. I really, it's a can of tuna here, a jar of peanut butter there. Just people in the local community being aware is what we hope will happen. That that the answer is right here.
Yeah. And I think organizations, other institutions, perhaps churches, and doing food drives. Like the library, I think, does a food drive for us. But, to get other organizations involved to do food drives makes a huge difference.
But right now things are really tight. This is the hardest time of year. Always it's the hardest time of year, because we're past the holidays, past the giving of the holidays, and not yet to the garden, the giving of the garden. So this is kind of that middle section that is where we struggle. People can bring food donations to the cupboard. We have a bin out in the hallway, or people can bring things by when we're here, which is usually all day Wednesday through Friday. People can drop things off at Shaw's or at the library, the Manchester Community Library, at any of the religious congregations in town, or people can send a donation old-fashioned way with a check to our P.O. Box, which is P.O. Box 864 in Manchester Center, 05255. Or they can also make a donation on our website, which is communityfoodcupboard.org. And we'd love for people to come in and see what we do. If anyone's interested in volunteering or just, checking us out, we always welcome anyone who wants to come.
The Manchester Food Cupboard is looking at an expansion of its operation space, which should help them meet the needs of local residents. Right now, it's a pretty cramped area, but it's one that's going to expand, hopefully, by the end of this year.
Yeah, the idea is we're going to continue this roof line out. Our cooler is going to stay where our cooler is, and so it will just be a little past where the cooler starts, and the roof line will come down to about here where you're standing, so it'll just over double the space that we have now. So it's going to come all the way down here to not cover that door. That door will still be as it is. And then the idea is we're going to have a garage door so that when we get deliveries in, the delivery can just be wheeled inside instead of my recruiting volunteers to carry it in bit by bit in the rain and the snow. So it's going to be a really big improvement for us. It's going to really make our operation a lot more efficient and helpful for people. My hope and prayer is that it will be here by the winter. We're going to need to do some fundraising to make that happen. We would love for people in town to pitch in to get us undercover by next winter. It's a really important service for the community.
For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.